Good afternoon, everyone. It's Weatherzilla, and welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to be talking about Tropical Storm Isaias and its return to hurricane status later this afternoon and to the midnight hours on the East Coast. But before I do get started with the video, please make sure to hit that red subscribe button down below. We are on the road to 30 subscribers. We are currently at 25. I just want to say thank you to every single one of you for your amazing support, for hitting that red subscribe button. And make sure to turn on that notification bell icon to make sure you never miss one of my videos. And make sure to hit that like and share button, and make sure to share with your family and friends. So here's a tweet from the National Hurricane Center from around 3:42 today that it states that Isaias is getting better organized and expected to make landfall tonight as a hurricane with dangerous winds and storm surges, and we will get into those storm surges and dangerous winds in a little bit. So here is Hurricane Isaias notes that there is a danger of life-threatening storm surge and along portions of the immediate coastline and adjacent waterways of northeastern South Carolina and North Carolina coast in the storm surge warning area. Residents in these areas should follow advice given by local emergency officials. So if you live in the Carolinas, please don't take this for granted. Listen to your higher authorities. Listen to your local news station for updates. And please don't underestimate this at all. Please, if you are forced to evacuate, please evacuate. You don't want to be in this storm. Isaias is forecasted to regain hurricane strength before it reaches the coast of northeastern South Carolina and southern North Carolina, and hurricane conditions are expected to end the hurricane warning area by this evening, and preparations should be rushed to completion. So make sure you're finishing up your final touches on your preparations by boarding up those windows, and make sure you have enough food and water to help keep your family safe. Isaias is expected to bring widespread sustained tropical storm force winds and wind gusts to hurricane force to the mid-Atlantic coast Tuesday, which could cause tree damage and power outages. Tropical storm conditions are expected to reach southern New England on late Tuesday and are possible along the northern New England coast Tuesday night and early Wednesday. So please, winds can cause anything from tree branches coming down, as it said there, damaging houses, taking off roof shingles. So please take your proper precautions. Make sure you have food and you have water, and make sure that you have, flashlights with you. Make sure to listen to your higher authorities. Heavy rainfall will result in flash and urban flooding, some of which may be significant in the eastern Carolinas and the mid-Atlantic through Tuesday night near the path of Isaias up the east coast of the United States. Widespread minor to moderate river flooding is possible across portions of the Carolinas and the mid-Atlantic. So as I had said previously on a couple other videos, that flash flooding and winds are going to be the main cause of this, as it is for every single hurricane. But we'll get into those total rainfalls here in a little bit. So here is the National Hurricane Center's cone for what they are predicting. So you can see here is a storm as of 2 p.m. It will reach hurricane status right where the Carolinas are, and those hurricane warnings are out right now. And then you got tropical storm warnings issued for the Virginia coast, Pennsylvania, Maryland, New Jersey, up to Connecticut, up touching of New Hampshire. As you can see, hurricane status will be right here as it goes up to the tropical storms once it reaches Maine, and then it'll fall into a tropical depression once it reaches the Canadian border as of Wednesday night. So here's my forecast. As you can see, I have a Category 1 hurricane with 75-mile-per-hour winds, and then once it reaches North Carolina, that's where I have it starting to fall off a little bit, down to a tropical storm at 70-mile-per-hour winds. And then once it reaches the Virginia coast up into Maryland, I have it down to 60-mile-per-hour winds. And then here, right as it reaches New Jersey, I have it dropping down significantly down to 45-mile-per-hour winds. And then right here, as it reaches the New York, Connecticut area, I have it dropping all the way down to either a very low-end tropical storm or a very high-end tropical depression. So here's my impact forecast. So take into consideration this does include the general wind, where you could be receiving winds from these storms. So here in the Carolinas, as I said previously, hurricane conditions will be here: flash flooding, extreme winds, and then here tropical storm conditions for the following states: Virginia, Delaware, Maryland, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Connecticut, New York, and parts of Rhode Island. Again, with winds and probably some flooding. And then up here in the north, that's where I have the tropical depression conditions. Maybe tropical storm conditions could go a little bit higher up into New Hampshire, but I think it's not going to be a main factor. I think tropical depression conditions will be up for the northeastern coast of the United States. So here are the tropical storm force wind probabilities. So here the hurricane is somewhere right around here. So you get 90% chance of tropical storm force winds, and then that has it dropping all the way down to about down to 70% once it reaches the Virginia area, and then it going all the way up into New Jersey, and then it reaches down to the 60% mark, down into the 50, then down to the 40% once it reaches Maine, and then it goes down into that tropical depression, as I had stated earlier, down into the 5, 10 to 20% chance. Here's the flooding and the torrential down rain. So you can see here, down to 4 to 6 inches of rain down in northern or southern Carolina, and then once it reaches the North Carolina area, it will stay consistently at around 4 inches. I think the only reason why there's could be 6 inches of rain is because here is where it's going to make its first landfall. So that's where it's going to be dropping the most amount of rain, and then once it keeps going on its projected path, it'll start to, once it reaches Virginia, down to 4 inches, and then here, right here where the Maryland, Delaware, parts of New York, or Pennsylvania, sorry, could receive up to 6 inches of rain, and then once it reaches the northwestern tip of New Jersey, that's where it will reach one of its final points of dropping 4 inches of rain, and then it will consistently drop 2 inches of rain until its life is no more. So here is a general flash flood risk. As you can see, here's day 1 through Tuesday morning. Parts of the Carolinas have a 20% moderate chance, and then most of the Northeast is going to be down to 10% slight chance. Day 2, that moderate risk does extend up into New Jersey, and then day 3 for Thursday morning is we're at the 5% marginal. But here, on the main map right here is the general flash flood risk over the next 3 days. You can see very high moderate chances of rain where the hurricane is projected to make landfall, and then here, as it, on the outer bands, has a 10% slight chance of severe flooding, and then on the outskirts of 5% marginal around Pennsylvania, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, those western states, parts of eastern West Virginia, and the central part of Pennsylvania. So here's my flash flood warning. It's going to be very consistent with the National Hurricane Center. Green is for marginal, yellow is for slight, and this kind of red-orange color is very intense and severe flooding possible. 1 to 3 feet of flooding is possible. I just kind of have it for where it's going to be like once it makes its impact in the next 3 days. See New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, and probably the tip of South Carolina is where it's going to be in that severe. And then most of the Northeast with Pennsylvania, West Virginia, parts of Maryland under that yellow slight, and then kind of the outskirts of this storm will be in the marginal for severe flooding. So here is Tropical Storm Isaias' current information. It is currently located at 31.2 north, 79.4 west on the latitude and longitude scale. Its wind speed and gusts, winds are sustained at 70 miles per hour and gusts are up to 95. Its current low pressure is at 993, and that has been kind of going up and down the past 24 hours. It was down to around 990. Yesterday it's kind of been going up and down, and then it's currently moving north at a 13 mile per hour pace. So here we're looking at some spaghetti models. Here is the intensity guidance. A lot of them having it kind of falling into the tropical storm, and a lot of having dying down into a tropical depression in probably the next 24 to around 40 to 60 hour mark. As there's one model does have it going into a Category 1 hurricane, which will happen. It will come into a hurricane, but I think it will be a very low-end hurricane, but most of them are being a tropical storm in the next 12 hours. And then it's moved its way into the more inland. That's where it will lose some of its sustained power. Here's a model track. These are different tracks, different types of models. So here, all of them are consistent with it hitting the southern Carolina up into the coast of Pennsylvania, New Jersey, stuff I showed you guys earlier. And then a lot of the tracks have it going out and then kind of stopping and then turning right. This purple model right here, I don't think it's going to go up like that. I think it's going to stay on its projected course, kind of go up through here, and then kind of die somewhere right here or turn right into the Atlantic where it would kind of stop forming and just be another tropical storm, or just a storm. Here is some satellite imagery. So here we have some convection. If you guys don't know what convection is, it's thunderstorms. That's where most of the flooding is going to be. So you can see here very deep convection right in the middle of the storm with a little bit of lightning around here somewhere. So very interesting. That's where a lot of the flooding is going to be in the outer bands around here, and the low area of low pressure is somewhere right in here, right in this little general area with this convection. So here's the storm surge forecasting. As you can see, once it reaches Southern Carolina, we're looking at 1 to 3 feet, 2 to 4 feet in between Esisto Beach. And here is where it could get bad. In between Cape feet and South Santee River, you can be seeing areas of 3 to 5 feet of storm surges. And then as it goes up the coast, 2 to 4 feet is possible, and then 1 to 3 feet once it kind of reaches that New Jersey area. But if you were in North Carolina, please be ready for some storm surge, and please take your proper precautions. And here is the arrival time of these tropical storm force winds. So it looks like Monday at 2 p.m. you can start to see some of those winds in South Carolina. Monday around 8 p.m. for North Carolina. Once it reaches the Virginia, Pennsylvania area, looking at Tuesday early in the morning for Virginia, and then Tuesday morning around 8 a.m. for that New Jersey, Pennsylvania area, and then up north where it starts to fall into a tropical depression Tuesday in the late afternoon or late evening hours, and then once it reaches into the Canada area up until Wednesday at 8 a.m. So here, Tropical Storm Isaias wind field. Again, it's just kind of showing, here's the wind field as of right now. We got tropical storm warnings, hurricane warnings issued for the South Carolina and North Carolina borders. And then as you can see, tropical storm warnings up into the northeast, and tropical storm force winds could be up here as well. That's going to wrap up the video, guys. Make sure to hit that red subscribe button. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.